thanks at the White House. Yes,
Great. All right, good afternoon. I am Anna Upton, CEO of the Everglades Trust. We are delighted to have you guys here with us, with Governor Ron DeSantis, for an exciting announcement today. I'm also really grateful for the support of the people standing beside me and behind me. It's representatives from Southwest Florida's tourism and fishing-based communities. They understand, like Governor DeSantis, that our economy runs on clean water. There's a connection between our environment and our economy in Florida, and particularly in Southwest Florida. So I'm going to have two people speaking with you briefly after I conclude here that have firsthand examples of how, under Governor DeSantis' leadership, our environment and economy have improved here in Southwest Florida. So first up is Chris Davison. He is the general manager of the Island Inn in Sanibel, and after him is Captain C.A. Richardson, one of the best fishing guides you'll meet. So if you guys like fishing, make sure you get these people's cards because they will get you hooked up. All right, Chris.
Thank you, Anna. My name's Chris Davison. I run the Island Inn. Hotel established in 1895 out on Sanibel Island. And while the environmental impacts of our water quality issues should not be understated, the economic impacts that are felt by all our businesses and residents in our community should not be overshadowed. Water quality remains as the #1 threat to the long-term sustainability of our businesses. And to put that in perspective, I'll give you a real-life example. My business lost more revenue in the water crisis of 2018 than it did with COVID. But there are no federal subsidies for me to fall back on. There are no insurance policies that will pay me out. There's no way for me to mitigate my damages against water quality issues. And I'm sorry, pull out my notes. Thank you. Water quality is the very foundation of our economy here in Southwest Florida and stands as the #1 threat to the long-term sustainability of our economy. That is until Governor DeSantis came into office.
Big time.
Woo! Governor DeSantis has made more progress in Everglades restoration and ensuring the long-term sustainability of Florida's economy in the last 3+ years than in the previous 30.
Fact.
And how did he do this? Governor DeSantis has done so by simply listening to and carrying out the will of the people.
Imagine that.
He made a promise of bold action to fund and expedite legislation and projects that have the best return on investment for all Florida businesses, not just a few special interest groups. He made these promises and he delivered on these promises.
Amen.
So I'd like to say thank you, Governor DeSantis, for not only being a champion of Everglades restoration, but for protecting Southwest Florida's businesses and our way of life. Thank you.
I'll be brief because I know it's hot out here on this deck and you're really wanting to hear from Governor Ron DeSantis and not from a bunch of others. But I'm a 25-year fishing guide and a television host. Many of you know me as that person. And it may be an overutilized cliche, but these gentlemen standing behind me, Captain Rhett Morris, Captain Al Keller, Captain Shane, Captain Kyle, they know what happens ahead of everybody else. We've seen the chemical spills, we've seen the red tide events, the fish kills, the grass kills. So we're kind of at the tip of the spear, so we like to bring attention to it, and my job has always been a passionate one to give advice on this is what's happening, because everyone that's moving here, we've had a huge population explosion here in Florida. It's important that they know what this place used to be like and now where we're going with it with some common sense solutions. And the governor has been at the tip of the spear himself at a lot of that. There's never been a legislator in Florida history that has put the environment so far ahead than Governor Ron DeSantis. It just hasn't happened. When he championed the cause of clean water for us, he literally made sweeping policy changes and personnel changes within the water districts, and then found funds within the state and federal funds to make this, for us, honestly, like record-setting, save the Everglades, attack some of the issues that we have with water infrastructure in other areas. So it's been great. I can tell you this, I sleep better at night knowing that Ron DeSantis is the governor of Florida. And with the governor steering the ship right now, I got a feeling I'm going to sleep pretty damn good for 4 more years.
Amen.
All right, without further ado, I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, CA. And thank you, Governor DeSantis, for being here. Some people like to call Ron DeSantis America's governor. I like to call him America's Everglades governor. He's been an absolute champion on our issue. We picked Fort Myers for today's exciting announcement because it's symbolic. Before Governor DeSantis took office, this community was on the receiving end of toxic discharges from Lake Okeechobee. You know firsthand what it's like when you can't go out in the water, when you can't have your businesses open, when you can't recreate. We all live here in Florida because we love to be on the water, especially this community. Ron DeSantis, when he ran for governor, he made Everglades restoration and reducing harmful discharges the centerpiece of his platform, and he got to work on day one. In his inaugural address, he vowed and he pledged to fight harmful discharges from Lake Okeechobee, fight for our fishermen, fight for our Everglades, and to not let the foot draggers stand in our way. And let me tell you what Ron DeSantis has delivered. He fired the former governing board of the Water Management, South Florida Water Management District. He cleaned house. He did. He drained the swamp, and he put in place men and women who care about what everyday Floridians care about, and that's clean water. They are laser focused on making sure water is going in the right direction at the right time. He made reducing harmful discharges and sending water south to the Everglades an official priority of the state of Florida. And that was huge because right now they're looking at redoing the Lake Okeechobee operations plan. And because of Governor DeSantis making those two things official priorities of the state, we are poised for the first time in decades to have a significant reduction in harmful discharges, more water flowing south to the Everglades, more water supply for everyone. And we are going to protect the residents, tourists, and businesses that drive Florida's clean water and tourism-based economy.
Yes.
Governor DeSantis has also been laser focused on the Everglades Reservoir south of Lake Okeechobee. That is the next thing that's going to help cut harmful discharges to your coast. It's the most important project in Everglades restoration queue right now, and it's the most important because it will both cut harmful discharges and send that water south to the Everglades where nature intended and where it's desperately needed in the dry season, and all the way down to Florida Bay. So that project has been a priority, and because of Governor DeSantis' laser focus on it, the state has expedited its portion of it. It's already under construction. It's actually ahead of schedule due to the South Florida Water Management District making it a priority, and so we are so thankful for that. Under Governor DeSantis' leadership, the South Florida Water Management District has started, hit major milestones, or completed over 50 Everglades restoration project components. Think about that. That is amazing progress. The momentum we've had has been tremendous, and I have no doubt with Governor DeSantis at the helm that that momentum will continue. When a company wanted to drill for oil in the Everglades, Governor DeSantis said no, and he extinguished that threat. Governor DeSantis also secured historic funding from the state legislature. He set out an ambitious goal of $2.5 billion. He not only got $2.5 billion, he got almost $1 billion more than that for our environment. And that's because when Ron DeSantis says he's going to do something, he does it. That's right. Ron DeSantis is not like other politicians. Politicians make promises all the time. What sets Ron DeSantis apart is that he delivers on those promises, and he has certainly delivered for the Everglades. And for that reason, the Everglades Trust is proud to endorse Ron DeSantis for governor.
Amen. Okay. Thank you. All right. Happy to be endorsed. And, at the end of the day, I think what Anna said at the end is really pertinent because, when you're the governor, yes, there are different policy things that you got to be right on. But if you're not a leader, then you're not going to be an effective governor. And you need to be somebody that's going to be able to set out a vision, execute on that vision, and deliver results for the people of Florida. So when I was a candidate in 2018, I visited communities in Southwest Florida. I talked to folks in these industries about a lot of the problems that were going on. But I also talked with people on the Treasure Coast of Florida. I talked with folks down at the Florida Keys who are concerned about Florida Bay as well as the Everglades. And I told them that we're going to do something about it. And I made the promise that we would lead and that we would change the paradigm in the state of Florida. I got into office and I followed through on my promises, and I delivered more than what people thought was possible. Heck, even our initial executive order, my first week in office, we set out big policy changes, ambitious funding goals. People said, wow, this is really great, but there's no way you're going to be able to accomplish all this. And in fact, not only did we did that, we accomplished much more. So typically these people run for office, they overpromise and they underdeliver. We made bold promises and we over-delivered on those bold promises, and we're happy to have done that. I am happy that people are doing well. Obviously, I saw the impact in 2018 prior to I was governor. I also remember 2016, which you saw over on the Treasure Coast of Florida. And so we wanted to make sure that we had the infrastructure in place. And so, you now have the reservoir on the east side of Lake Okeechobee. We're going to finish the one on the west side of Lake Okeechobee. That's a top priority. We're working on it, and we're going to get that done. And that's going to obviate the need to do a lot of these discharges when you factor in moving more water south through the Everglades and Florida Bay. And we're moving more water south than anyone can remember in the modern history of the state of Florida. We've raised the Tamiami Trail. I have the Water Management District working hard to do that. People in Florida Bay, the water is actually improved in Florida Bay because it's getting that coming down from the Everglades as God intended. And so that's all very, very important, and we feel very good about it. But, I saw the economic effects of this, and we wanted to do what we could to avoid that, obviously. But I also just know people have done well in these industries because I kept this state open over the last 2 years. And if you go back to July of 2020, I had every Democrat member of Congress from the state of Florida write me a letter, July 20th, 2020, saying, your policies are trying to say that it was reckless to have Florida open and you need to shut down the state. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to shut this state down, and they wanted to capsize every one of these industries, from our restaurants, our lodging, our recreation, all of that they wanted out the window. Can you imagine if I had listened to the media and the left and Fauci and all these naysayers? This state would be in the toilet had we done that. We stood strong. And we stood strong when it wasn't easy to do, when I was taking all the fire. But you know what? My job as the leader is to take the arrows on behalf of the people I represent. And so I never blinked. I never flinched. I knew we had to protect people's rights, their livelihoods, and their businesses, and have kids in school in person, which many of these other places didn't do. So you're now seeing these places had massive learning losses, historic learning losses. They haven't done the state-by-state results, but I guarantee you, you're going to see the states that had kids in school did better than the states that locked them out of school. And it was people, like these heads of the teachers union, like Weingarten, who worked to shut millions and millions of kids out of school. This lady down in Dade County fighting us on having kids in school, trying to close the schools, trying to deny kids a right to an education. And we fought those bad forces, and we beat those bad forces, and we stood for the kids. And that's some of the most important thing. You may never have an opportunity being in office to have so much of a profound impact than in that moment on saying we're not going to make our kids roadkill for some crazy version of Fauciism that's going to destroy our society. No, we are going to stand for the evidence-based, what we're seeing, and we're going to stand for doing what's right by them. And the effects of that, I think, are apparent now, but they're going to continue to be apparent 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road. These other states that did the opposite, they're going to be dealing with that carnage and that wreckage for years and years and years. And so I'm happy that we've had hospitality do well. I'm happy that we've had recreation do well, but it all could have gone very different had we had different leadership. And so it's really, really important. Don't take your freedoms for granted. There are people that want to impose mandates on you. They want to indulge in these policies again, and we cannot let that happen in the state of Florida. I'm also proud of what we've been able to do here with respect to environment, because not only did we put money on the target, we've built an infrastructure where the state can now actually respond to some of the things that may happen. So, for example, yes, we don't want any discharges out of Lake Okeechobee, but we also have people there with new technology that's cleaning the blue-green algae. So that and we don't do the discharges, that's the federal government that does it. And since I've been governor, we've had probably the fewest number of discharges over a 4-year period than I can remember. And part of the reason is, before I even took office, I flew up to Washington, D.C. and met with Donald Trump. And I said, Mr. President, this lake they're killing us on the lake by spewing this stuff into our estuaries. Just let the lake go down a little bit going into the rainy season. You get the rain, it rises, but it won't rise to the level that will necessitate the discharges. And to his credit, he told the Army Corps, you need to work with the state of Florida. You need to have a better balance in how this is done, because what they were doing is they just wanted the lake as high as possible, and they'd spew it out into the estuaries, regardless of the impact that was having on the environment on our coast, and regardless of the economic impact. So those days are over. We made sure that we turned the page on that. We made sure we turned the page on that, and so that has put us in a position now with the infrastructure that we have online and that is soon to be online. We are in so much better position than we were 4 years ago. And I think a lot of people wanted to see action, but the reality is, if I told you all that we have done, if I told you then that that's what we would do, most of you would not believe that we would be able to get all that done. I mean, you remember when I ran for governor, I was public enemy #1 from Big Sugar. You know, they were attacking me with millions of dollars in ads because they didn't want me doing some of the restoration stuff. And so we've stood very strong with that and continued to have a lot of momentum. It's also the fact that we've been able to do a lot of these things from a budgetary perspective because we have a strong economy and we are good stewards of the public money. We have the second lowest state taxes in the country. We've cut taxes every year in Florida, and yet we have by far the largest budget surplus that we've ever had in the history of this state. So not only are we able to do this stuff to help our natural resources and to keep Florida beautiful and to put in the infrastructure so that we can make sure that our kids and grandkids are able to enjoy a very beautiful Florida, we also have the resources to be able to do other priorities that we need. I mean, we're doing infrastructure because we have to, apart from water infrastructure. We're doing education. We've never done more for funding for our schools, and we did the biggest increase in teacher salaries in the history of the state of Florida in the most recent budget. And so that's showing our commitments to things that matter. We also did a program to give $1,000 bonuses to all law enforcement and first responders throughout the state of Florida. And because they're being treated so horribly in places like Seattle and New York City, and they don't get any support, many of these places slash funding for law enforcement and this whole idiotic defund the police movement, a lot of people, the morale is low. And so they're wondering, why am I putting on the uniform to go out and risk my life for politicians in a community that doesn't support what I'm doing? And so in Florida, we've said, you come here, you'll be rewarded and you'll be appreciated. And we did a $5,000 signing bonus for all new recruits coming into the state of Florida for law enforcement. So we are going to continue to work very hard on this issue. I think one of the things that is great about what we've been able to do with our water resources, water quality in Everglades, is not just the achievements that we've had, but we've changed the paradigm for people aren't even going to want to contest us doing this. Whereas when I came in, it was a heavy lift. People are like, well, we've never done that before. And so we had to develop that muscle memory. Now, because people appreciate what we did, a lot of these legislators want to be helpful, and they want to be able to move the ball forward, particularly in this part of the state of Florida. So I look forward to being able to build off these achievements. I think we've done better than anyone thought, but we've got more to do, and I'm looking forward to be able to do it. I'm also happy to hear that, because they locked down these states and then Florida's open, you had people that were moving here. And what do? They want to buy boats. A lot of them have bought boats. These guys have never made more money selling these boats than they have, over the last couple years. Although they tell me that some of the people that are new to Florida buy the boats. They don't really know how to work the boats. And so you end up with some traffic problems in different parts of the state, but they'll learn and they'll be able to do it. But we're happy to see when so many people thought our tourism was going to be irrevocably broken when COVID started, to see not only is it not, in many respects we're doing better than ever. 2021, we had the best year for domestic tourism in the history of the state of Florida. It's because people knew they could visit and they wouldn't have to wear a mask or show vaccine papers. That's why they wanted, because it was a free state. It's a beautiful state, but it's also a free state. And so you had that. And then for 2021, if you take all the international visitors to the entire United States, the percentage that went to Florida out of our entire country was almost 45% came right here to Florida. Again, why would you want to go to New York City or some of these places and get hit with restrictions and mandates and all these other things? And so we've understood, I think, how being stewards of the natural environment undergirds our way of life and our economy. But we also understood that during COVID, you had to keep people employed. You had to protect people's livelihoods. So I think all this has worked together to put us in a situation where we're able to see a lot of this. And the thing is these are not just statistics when you talk about hospitality doing well. These are real people whose jobs depend on these industries. And they have been able to put food on the table. I remember when Fauci was attacking us for having restaurants open, I did an event down in West Palm Beach, and I had all the staff there talk about what it means to them to get a paycheck. No one cared about them except we here in Florida. We were the only ones standing up. But that's why when we talk about the importance of the environment to the economy, it's not just for that we get more tax revenue or GDP. It's because this impacts people's lives in a very personal way. These fishing guys, they can do very well when it's nice. All of a sudden, you can't go out. I mean, what does that do? All the other restaurants are doing fantastic. Never seen anything like it in the state of Florida, and that's all because it's a great place to be. They're open. People know that that's going to happen. So I'm excited about this. I think we're going to be able to do very, very well over the next governor term, and we're going to continue to honor the promises that we made to the people of Florida. So thank you for the endorsement today. Thank you for all your support. And we are going to make sure that we keep this state free and that we keep this state beautiful. Thank you all. God bless you.
Well said, man.